welcome. Joining us today is our incredible CEO. Thank you for coming. And
Thank you for having me, Amy.
can you start off with telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're located, and what your work history is?
Sure thing. So my name is Joy Zhang. I am the co-founder and CEO of HyperRain, where I'm located. So I am currently in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. I relocated here about 3 months ago. And prior to that, I lived in New York City for the past 9 years. In terms of work history, basically prior to running HyperRing, I've only had, one job really. It's equity research. Went through multiple banks, started off at Wells Fargo, 3 years there, doing semiconductor equity research. After that, Citigroup, and after that, SVB, Leerink, or now it's called Leerink Partners. So the entirety of my work history was on Wall Street in equity research, dealing with stocks and analysis. And now I'm doing something, brand new, super exciting, super different, and running HyperRing.
And Joy has been doing an incredible job, despite how this is brand new. It feels like you've been doing this for ages. So
Yeah, you're too kind.
awesome. So can you tell us a little bit, being CEO of HyperRing, what do you think is the genesis of HyperRing?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I would love to say to you that I invented the hyperrank, but that would be a complete lie. I did not come up with it. So I am the co-founder. My other co-founder, Tufi Saliba, is the creator of the hyperrank. And what came about was actually it's a happy coincidence. So I met Tufi while in Abu Dhabi, just at a conference at the Abu Dhabi Finance Week. And it was truly a meeting of minds between me and Tufi. He already has the Hyperring project invented, it's sort of in the very early incubation stage, and he was trying to bring in someone who was a non-technical founder. And so when we met each other right away, we knew there was a match. There were a lot of synergies. And so we just jumped onto the opportunity and formed a company that is known now as the Hyperring.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing. Kind of like what's meant to be will always be type of situation, hey?
Agreed, agreed.
So now working on this project, what makes you passionate about HyperRing?
Yeah, it's a great question. Um, I'd say at the very basic level, without going into super technical details, what excites me about the hyperring, it's something that I personally want to use, right? I'm fortunate enough to be, in a place where I'm basically building the dream company, the dream platform, the dream product of something that I actually want to use day to day. So, for example, right now we're working on the concept of what I call a hands-free wallet. The idea that, with each of the three NFC chips inside the ring, each one can have a different function. And so one would be, let's say, unlocking your car, the other one unlocking the door of your house, and the other one making, payments in lieu of a credit or debit card. So with this, you can just leave your house without, taking your phone, without taking your bag, and go about your day for the next few hours completely hands-free with something that's, on you at all times. This is something that, I personally want. And to top it off, it's going to be a beautiful object where, it's a beautiful piece of jewelry where even if it doesn't have tech functionalities, I still want to wear it. So, what makes me passionate about it is just the product itself and the convenience that it can bring to people like you and me.
Wow. With HyperRing being such a unique, special piece of tech, especially with this extra insider info that you just shared on how it's working, what advice would you give someone who would want to join the HyperRing team?
Yeah, yeah. It's a great question. So this is not I'd say hyperring, even hyperring specific, and I'll get to the hyperring specific answer. But my biggest piece of advice to really anyone who's looking to work at a startup is basically don't limit yourself to what, one or two things that you think you're good at. So what we've experienced bringing in new people and new blood to the team is that somebody could be joining, one function, and we are figuring out while we're working with them that they're actually super talented in something else, like, graphic design or product development or marketing. And then we basically make the internal adjustments for that person to get to something that, that they're truly interested in, that they're good at, and something they want to try out. So when you join HyperRing, it's not joining sort of one job function, but we're really just taking you in and trying to bring the best out of you, for both for yourself and for the organization. So that's how it works at HyperRing.
Wow, wow. Um, I really feel that Hyperring is such a one of a kind company with leadership like Joy, having people be able to join and discover themselves as we're discovering this new project and building this new product. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, of course. And one more thing I would add would be about the overall hyperring culture. So I would say it's a mishmash of a group of people with many different backgrounds. We're all over the world, right? We're globally remote. Amy, I know you're calling from Vietnam today, right? And then we have team members in Hong Kong, Korea, Western Europe, Canada, all over the place. I would say, despite people's many different backgrounds, the common thread with everyone who's working at HyperRing, and I would say even in just the overall hyper cycle ecosystem, is the idea that everyone is a big believer in the freedom of choice, right? The right to sort of self-determination, and how that is manifested in technology is through decentralization, right? We truly believe that the future of technology, whether that be AI or something like hyperring and whatnot, it's to have a democratized process, and to be able to basically shape technology in such a way that is beneficial to humanity, right? Rather than benefit the few who are controlling the technology. So at the end of the day, this is what everyone thinks is their mission. And this is what makes us get up every morning.
Wow, wow. That was that was really empowering to even hear. I mean, I'm working on the project with Joy, but to hear our amazing CEO firsthand explain our culture, explain our product is I learn something new every single time. So,
Glad.
yeah, so okay, well, you shared a lot about your work history, about your expertise in the hyperring. Um, it would be great if you could tell everybody a kind of fun question on what is your favorite dessert or snack and why to end things.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. But my favorite savory snack, they're terrible for you. They're terrible for me, but buffalo wings
Oh,
and
specific, thank you.
shin ramyun. Those two are my all-time like guilty pleasures.
Thank you for sharing. As you can see, our CEO is not only very intelligent, but she's also very personable and relatable because who doesn't like buffalo wings and shin ramen?